Hello, this is a Jayleshark and Friends
and Russell
and Russell podcast. And in today's show, we are talking to the very handsome French bulldog owner, amazing photographer, and very handsome Liam Collard from Liam Collard Photography. The very handsome Liam's journey to Phuket started with coming out to shoot some pictures at a friend's wedding, and a chance meeting with one of Phuket's best wedding planners changed his still handsome life forever. From battling demons to meeting his fiancé and setting up a creative agency, the very handsome Liam's journey to Phuket has been one of the most interesting yet. Oh, and he's quite handsome too. Enjoy the show. Liam, don't say anything naughty because he's recording. You could get into trouble.
It now says recording, so I guess we're recording.
Oh yes, I've got the little icon up now.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah. Best
Take it away, Jay.
Welcome to the podcast, Liam. Woo!
How are you?
Liam, we've been waiting for you to be on our podcast for approximately 6 months.
Waiting as in I've been unreliable, or you just were too worried? Oh, really?
Well, no. The way it works on the podcast is basically I'm generally the booker of the rubbish guests, and then we give Russell the opportunity to book the really, really good quality guests, and he's failed at that. Doesn't go to plan very often. But now we have you. Thank you for being here. We love you.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are you?
I'm not nervous. I'm just intrigued. Sorry, can you hear the dog barking? I just need to. Yeah.
You can't just walk off midway through the pod. We haven't even started the podcast. He's off.
No, I'm still here. I'm on a mobile device. No.
See, now I should explain what's going on. So Liam is a friend of Russell and I's, and has been a friend for a long time. He also is a dog owner and has employed Russell's services of Canine Point Academy to train his vicious French bulldog to be a very good bulldog, and it is a good bulldog. However, I've just seen now that Liam. Because Russell's... Liam's put Bob up on the screen. That's beautiful. It's great for the audio podcast to see that. So Russell has been training Liam's dogs, but I think throughout this podcast, Liam will be very much making sure he is a very good dog owner. Because every time I see Liam when Russell's around, Liam becomes Barbara Woodhouse rather than the normal dog owner like the rest of us that don't give a shit.
Oh, shit. Yeah, no, that's how I feel like I've got an audience. So
right.
Yeah, exactly.
So Liam, so basically our little podcast, we would like, because I'm trying to work out when we first met. It was obviously through weddings.
Got to be a wedding.
I think it must have been one of Jeanette's weddings, but it was right at the beginning. Maybe even the first one I did. It was at Ban Santisuk. And I think you might have even been at that first one, but which was way back in like 2012 or something like that.
Is that when you first came to Phuket, 2012?
I came to a friend's wedding in May of 2012 as a guest, and Jeanette was organising that wedding. And I wasn't actually doing the photography, but I said to him, "I'll do some photography of the wider circle of friends, because your photographer will be busy with other stuff." And Jeanette just saw those photos and then asked me if I wanted to do some work in Thailand. So that's how the journey began.
Okay, so let's take that part and then let's go back. Time machine, all kind of fairy moments, all that kind of stuff. So what were you doing? But have you always done photography, or was that your background, or what were you doing before that?
No, so So how far back shall we go with this? I'll try and condense it.
When were you born?
When were you born?
I was actually born in Nottingham. So let's not talk about that though. No, never lived there. I'm from the south of the UK. So I was always into photography, and I think partly to do with my parents both had like corporate careers, and I was lucky to go to a really good school in Berkshire, and there was just an expectation that, I mean, it wasn't particularly academic, the school, but there was still an expectation that you kind of did school and university and then got some kind of corporate job. That's just, most people's parents were like doing stuff like that, accounting, lawyers, that kind of job. So that was just kind of what we were told the path was.
I think everyone really.
Yeah, possibly. And so I just had no idea. No one told me that it was possible to do something creative. No one explained to me that there were other options. And with the lack, I suppose, not having so much access to information like we do with the internet now, I just kind of followed that path, not really knowing there was any other choice. So the school bit, up to 18, I did okay because it's quite a protected environment, a boarding school in Berkshire. There was, school class sizes were fairly small and stuff. So I got the attention that I needed.
Posh boy, Russell. We've got Posh Boy on the podcast. Boarding school. Get him. Was that, sorry, Liam? Was it boarding or board stall?
Yeah, boarding school. Yeah, boarding school.
Okay, just clarifying that.
To clarify.
Where was I? That went fairly well, but then, to be honest, I think without that, I wouldn't have even got any A levels, because I wasn't well suited to an academic environment at all. I didn't have the focus or ability to sit down and take responsibility for the stuff outside the classroom particularly well. So as soon as I left, I'd already discovered drinking by this point, and I did get into university. But the two I attempted to go to, I went to Bristol, University West of England, for 1 year, and went to like one lecture, and the rest of the time spent in the pub. And then I thought, it must be Bristol that's the problem. So I'll go to Nottingham and try and do it there. And then exactly the same thing happened there. So I actually ended up, a friend of mine that had he was a very clever boy, bright boy. He was a sixth form scholar at school. So he was there based on his academic ability, but he didn't do very well in his A levels. So his parents said, we're not going to pay for you to go to a crap university. So go and get a job. And he ended up working in the oil markets in the city, got a job as a junior there. But by the time I had done these 2 years of messing up at university, he was doing really well as an oil broker. And, making great money, seemed really attractive to work in that kind of environment. And so I started looking at that path, and I did end up getting a job working on the London Metal Exchange, which is it's still an open outcry floor. So where they don't trade electronically, they're doing all their hand signals and stuff like that. So it's cool. It's a cool environment, but the pressure of it, and you don't have to be great at maths, complicated maths, but you're mental arithmetic and ability to hear numbers when lots of people are shouting and be able to pick out the right numbers that your trader's shouting and buying and selling is like a key. It's the main bit of the job if you're going to make it all the way up to a trader. And I wasn't able to do that with enough accuracy. It has to be 100% accurate every single day. And for me, the way my ears and my ability to concentrate worked, I just could not. I would always make one or two mistakes, like put a trade down as a buying order and when it was a selling order and stuff like that. So it was never going to last that long. It was very intense.
Is your other name Nick Leeson by any chance? Or is this like...
I knew Nick Leeson. I played pool with him in Singapore back in the day.
Did you?
I really did, yeah. Next page pub. I mean, I didn't know him as in like, hey, mates to hang out for a beer. And of course, at that time, I was still quite young, going out with some friends to all the expat bars. And he was just one of the guys that was there. Obviously, this is pre-crashing the bank. So, but he was just one of the guys in the pub.
Down in Singapore.
Yeah, Singapore. Yeah.
Liam, when you said you born in Nottingham, but you grew up down south, whereabouts down south?
Yeah, it was just west of London, around kind of in the countryside, but near Reading.
Okay.
So, but I don't specify Reading just simply because I went to, from the age of 11, I went to...
Because it's a shithole.
There's that as well. Yeah.
It's interesting because I think that I grew up in Essex, Southend way, and all my mates were very similar. We're close to our age. I mean, you've just turned 40. Happy birthday to Liam, everybody.
Happy birthday, Liam. Woo!
Thank you.
I'm a little bit older than that. Russell's obviously only in his early 30s, so he's Mars ones. But in my age group as well, I was very similar to you. There wasn't any creative jobs. You kind of you went to school, you went to A-levels, you went to university, or you went to work in the city. That was the options. There was nothing else outside of that. So I totally get your story where you're coming from, because it was like I didn't know about radio and audio and what I could do creatively. It was just like you had to go and get a job, or you went to university, and that was it. And
it was very specific. It was very structured. And like even at school, I remember like the careers advisors, it was all going down a path to be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, or whatever. It was never more about trying to tap into your creative field as to what you might want to do, what sort of things excite you, and what sort of path can we put you on. And I wonder if, I mean, Jay, you're probably, out of the three of us, you're the one that's going to come across this, because you're the only one that's got kids at the moment. So at some point, they're going to be in that position of wanting to go down a particular path, and as to whether the system now is a bit more awake and alive to what people might want to do and be better at.
No, the system's fucked, Russell, because of coronavirus. I'm the teacher at the moment, and that's a scary prospect that I'm teaching 2 kids.
Time out. Liam,
can you check them into check them into K9 Point Academy?
Yeah. Hey,
Russell
no limitations.
Russell will not take them. I've offered him money. I've offered him lots of stuff. He won't take them.
No, not at all. Liam, you did 2 years at uni, so was that 1 year at Bristol and 1 year at Nottingham?
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
Did you then jack it in to go to London?
Yeah, I mean, and also I was having to be helped to be able to afford university. So I did have a job, like working in a restaurant and a bar and stuff when I was there, but I still needed a bit of help to help pay my rent and stuff, which was coming from my parents. So they were just like, we're not going to pay for a 3rd year of you going to no lectures and, you know, just drinking, because that's it's a waste of money.
What course were you doing?
I did sociology.
What course were you signed up for?
Yeah, I had to think about it for a second there, because that's how detached from it I was. So I signed up to sociology at Bristol and then criminology at Nottingham. Yeah,
right.
Which I did like the idea of, but like I said, I think partly, I'd fallen into and was really enjoying feeling comfortable in my own skin in that drinking environment. I just really went at that. So that was partly the reason, but it also, just looking back on it, I do have the ability to learn very well, but not in that traditional academic way. Because the way my career's progressed, I've been fairly successful in what I've been doing, but not within those rigid confines of what we're told is the way to learn and the types of ways you do exams and stuff. It never suited me, and partly it's to do with some of my friends were good at doing those types of exams, even though they didn't like it. They could just get on with it. Whereas I'm not good at learning stuff that I don't like, and I never liked any of this academic stuff. So there was just a disconnect there. There's got to be a real focus from me, like an internal passion that, yes, I want to get to this place with this learning, then I can do it, but not just for the sake of doing it. I could never seem to engage with that very well.
Yeah, no.
I think that's really interesting, because I'm with the homeschooling at the moment, and I was similar to you. I did rubbish at school and A-levels. I got kicked out my first year. I got terrible marks in the stuff, and it wasn't until my second year, when I begged to go back to do A-levels, that the teacher came up and said, look, maybe this isn't the right path for you. There are other options. I found that there was other options to go and do a course where it's more of what I wanted to do. And it was a leisure course where I was teaching water sports. And that's what kind of pushed me in that direction, where it was then, right, you actually just, that's what I had a passion for, was to go and do that, rather than sitting there doing economics A-levels where you have to write 3 essays in 3 hours. I mean, it was just bonkers.
Who wants to do
so
that?
So just moving, not moving too far ahead. So you were you doing photography at all at this point, or nothing at all? You were just having fun, trading, doing the London scene, doing whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I basically I was into it, and I was into it from like, I used to go on summer, because my grandmother is Greek. She had a house in one of the Greek islands. So when I was from the age of like 14, I used to go, and my parents would let me bring a few school friends every summer to go out there. So from that point, I was always the one that had the camera. I was into it, and we were still in those kind of disposable film camera days, or proper film camera days at that early point. But once I kind of was at university and stuff, I just got so into the party stuff that I was the kind of person that I would sit at the bar telling people, I just want to do something creative with my life, and bullshit, and just talk about all this stuff, but never actually take it. I would basically sit there and go, oh yeah, I would like to be a photographer, but it's just too competitive. It's impossible to do it. I'd never actually investigated it or bothered to do any learning or tried to work out how people did get into it. I just dismissed it and would sit there talking about all of these grand ideas without actually doing anything about them. So yes, I definitely was, but there was, the only thing I was really interested in was drinking and partying. So the discipline and focus needed to learn something like photography from scratch professionally and build a successful business, I just wasn't, my emotional maturity wasn't there at that early stage of my life to be able to take that step. So I had to be working for somebody that paid me a salary. That was the only way I was going to turn up regularly.
When did the light bulb switch? Now I know I'm probably jumping years and years ahead, but when did the light bulb switch to say, right, I'm going to do photography, that's the path I want to take?
I think like leading up to 2011, after I had that job in the city, I then ended up doing a lot of recruitment jobs or headhunting jobs for those type of traders. So I kind of had a bit of connection with the city. So that was the type of recruitment I did. But I was literally going every Monday morning, normally quite hungover, feeling so depressed. I remember getting the tube from Fulham Broadway up to the city, just thinking, so desperate, going, I don't know how I'm going to get through 5 more days of doing this. And I basically did that for 7 years of that. And then by the time I got to Friday, it was like, there was no option but to go and party, because it was just such relief I'd managed to get through another week of like corporate life or doing that kind of, and especially that kind of job is quite sales target driven and stuff like that. So I just never liked it. So I was always saying, I want to do something creative without really specifying or having the light bulb moment in my head. I would just talk bullshit about how I'm a creative person and I want to do something creative. Let me another drink, like that kind of thing. So,
what was your
yes.
What was your tip of choice? What was your drink of choice?
I like beer, like Jack Daniels and Coke. Used to do the job, yeah. So
that'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2011, I got to the point with the partying where I didn't really have the ability to stop that cycle of, go to work in the week, binge at the weekend, feel even worse on a Monday, go back. So I was in this kind of cycle. But the beginning years, it was fun, right? And the consequences of feeling pretty tired and whatever on the Monday seemed worth it for all the fun you're having at the weekend. By the time I got to 15 years into that or 12 years into that,
the novelty,
those advantages had disappeared. And it was simply a case of, I'm completely wasting my life here. I'm doing a job I hate. I'm basically repeating the same behaviors every week, not really out of choice, they're just so ingrained that I just keep doing them. So the decision came, and the decision came basically because it wasn't working for me anymore. That lifestyle I wasn't getting that enjoyment that I got at the beginning. So a couple of friends I knew had already stopped drinking. So I chatted to them about that journey and stuff like that. And made a decision in November 2011 that I am gonna make this decision to stop drinking, because I tried drinking moderately. I tried, mixing with different people, whenever, and just kept going back to the same problems. So I kind of had experimented enough to know that the thing holding me back was probably something to do with the partying. So that kind of penny sort of drops.
Do you also sort of find at that stage that you were, I mean, obviously the cycle was suck it up during the week because it sucks being at work, get to the weekend and go completely smash it. But were you also at that point realizing that during the week you were also drinking a fair amount? Or was it just to...
Yeah, no, I could. And the problem was that I was what I would describe as a binge drinker. So I didn't drink daily, but there was very little control or moderations when I did decide to go for a drink. So I could get away sometimes having a few, but invariably when there was something important going on at work or something, I might go out on a Wednesday and then it would just go until 4 a.m. And then I was either not able to turn up to work, or I'd come in like so hungover I couldn't do anything or whatever. So, and it just started to affect me, like the actual drinking. I don't even think I particularly acted that bad when I was actually drinking, but the psychological effects afterwards, the hangovers and the anxiety and they started to get a lot worse as I got older. So that, like I said, the fun and the trade-off just got to a point where I realized I'm not even getting 1% of enjoyment out of this. It's just a habit. And all of that stuff I used to do it for is just gone. And it's holding me back. So yeah, when I made that decision in 2011, I'd said so many times, I'm going to stop doing this. But there seemed to be a moment of clarity that it was the thing holding me back. Whereas before, I was just like, I don't want to feel rubbish on Monday, so I'm going to stop. And that wasn't, the mindset was completely wrong. It was, so as soon as I felt better, I just wanted to go and party again. Yeah. Whereas on this occasion, there was a moment, some kind of clarity that this lifestyle is stopping you doing what you want to do with your life. And that is the common denominator, is me and my partying. Because I tried living in Hong Kong, Singapore, London during the years that I was doing that, and the same problems, the same difficulties, managing money, keeping jobs, keeping relationships, all followed me everywhere I went. So that I needed to build up that evidence to realize that. But then when once I made that decision and spoken to a couple of friends and knew that it wasn't working for me, then that was the point I knew that I definitely wanted to pursue photography specifically as a way to try and build a career. And I stopped caring about this superficial stuff like, I do want to earn loads of money. Because I still had this little part of me when I was a bit younger going, but I still want to earn loads of money. So maybe it's worth sticking with some kind of corporate job so I can try and do that. But as soon as I stopped drinking, I was like, actually, that's just not important at all. And if I'm going to spend most of the next 40 years working, I've got to do something that I like. Otherwise, I'm going to be terrible at it. So once I'd done that, I actually found a course run by one of the top wedding photographers in the UK, a guy called Mike Garrard, who's become a great...
No. You mean Peter V. James from Peter V. James Motion and Still. He's one of the top photographers, is he, or not? No, he's a pirate.
No, he's a pirate.
He's a videographer.
Yeah. Okay, they're rubbish. Don't like photographers.
Very talented man, though.
Yeah. He was an au pair.
He's been helping us a lot, actually, with doing some of our own commercial video stuff. He's a great teacher. Great guy. So when I didn't want to do wedding photography because, again, I had all of this wedding photography is just like crap photography. And then I found this course, like a year-long academy with this wedding photographer, and the one place left on it. And the friend of mine that was living with me at the time, she'd already quit her job in creative advertising to become an artist. And she was on that early bit of that journey. And she said, I think there's one space left for a reason. And if you listen to everyone that's got a salaried job, you'll never do it anyway, because they're all just into their security of paying their mortgages and stuff. You'll get all the practical advice and you just you'll never be able to do it. So I suggest you just quit your job and take that place, and just, you can work it out as you go along. You know, there's other way you can always go back to these jobs. So that was the nudge I needed, and I took the opportunity to get on this course. And the first day I was there, I still had a little bit of attitude about, wedding photography is rubbish photography. I'd never, again, it was like I hadn't investigated properly what it really was or what it could be. And this guy, Mike, he said, right, different types of wedding photography that he thought were some of the best in the world. And he put it up on the screen, some of these photographers. I remember Ben Chrisman, who runs a studio out of California, was one of the photographers up there who we've also done some work with in our, you know, our journey. And I was really blown away by how creative, how colourful and vibrant, how interesting and artistic these images were. I thought it was some of the best photography I'd ever seen. It just happened to be being done at a wedding. Whereas I just had this impression of these line-up photos of family, or like some kind of really cheesy bride and groom shot. I just had no idea there was this sort of creative documentary style going on. And Ben Chrisman's one of the pioneers of that style, right? So that got me like hooked on it, and I just immediately thought, I want to be able to create photos like that. So I knew exactly what kind of style I wanted to do from that very first day on the academy. Mike, I got on really well with him, and part of the academy is you could do with some of the tutors, other photographers there, you would go and do some live wedding shoots with them as a second photographer. So you could build portfolio, learn how they did stuff. But Mike had a style and an approach that I really liked. So I just asked him privately if I could do with him rather than any of the other people there, which he agreed to.
Hold on. You mean his photography, not do him as in do him?
Yeah, it's exactly. Right. to join him on these, on his photography bookings. And I was also really clear in my head that I didn't really want to do 20 weddings down the local golf club in Southwest London. So having been exposed to this destination wedding market at this course, and I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want to do that kind of wedding. That looks amazing and creative and really exciting, get to travel. And luckily for me, Mike was already doing that, doing a lot of weddings in Italy and around Europe. So he took me and said, you know, you have to pay for your flights and stuff if you want to do the destination ones, but I can bring you as you're part of to do 2 or 3 of these as you're part of the academy. So I went and did that with him and built up portfolio and stuff like that. And yeah, learned really fast from him. I was so passionate about it. I was literally listening to every single word he said. And I just got to the point of launching my own business when I came to Thailand and did, as a guest, came to my friend's wedding. It's actually the guy that owns U-Time now, because he lives in Phuket now.
Oh, yeah.
Carl.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's his wedding. He was a mate of mine from when I lived in Hong Kong. Nice. It's about the only good thing that came out of my time in Hong Kong was that friendship. And weirdly, it came back to give me the whole opportunity I've got now is because of that. So he invited me to the wedding. I stopped drinking like a year before that wedding and built up the photography portfolio and was starting to get really into it. And then I came there and Jeanette met me and saw my work. And then that's how I ended up moving to Phuket.
So at Carl's wedding, where were you living? You were in the UK at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just flew out for the wedding. So, and been to Phuket for a long time.
We should just mention, for those who don't know, we keep mentioning Jeanette's name. Russell, myself and Liam all worked in various different parts for luxury events, which was, at that time, probably the best wedding company in Phuket, based in Phuket. And we all did different things. So I was DJing, Russell was saying words, and then obviously Liam then came on board to take the pictures. I just want to go back. Where did Carl get married? Because did Jeanette do that wedding? Yeah, she did do it. It was up in Natai, but it was at a villa that was never used once I moved here. It was like owned by some jockey in Hong Kong, and it was available for his wedding. But by the time I actually moved out here, they'd stopped doing weddings there. So somewhere, it's near Sava though.
Okay, along that
one
stretch.
Of the private villas along from Sava. Yeah, along that stretch. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So did you? So when you came out for the wedding, and then you just went, "Do you know what? I'm just gonna." So what was the point where you said? Was it Jeanette saying, "Oh, your pictures are great. I'll give you some work"? Did you approach her? How did how did it all? I can't talk. How did it all happen? Thank you.
Yeah.
Russell.
So I think she didn't particularly like the official photographer's photos, and on Facebook had seen photos I had tagged from the wedding of my work. So she contacted me and said, I really like the style. I had a lot of Western clients that would probably be quite interested. If you would be interested in doing weddings in Thailand, I can maybe start to refer you, and we'll just see if you get any bookings. And I think she got me 2 for that December. So I came back out and stayed for 2 weeks and did these 2 weddings. And then after that, it was quite a good timing, because at that point there wasn't really that many photographers on the island, and the opportunity was there where there was a lot of destination weddings happening. So yeah, there was an opportunity to bed in and actually build a portfolio and reputation out here. So I just thought, well, yeah, why not? I could do it from England. I just, having lived in Asia before, in a different part of my life, I always was quite keen to come back, but I just wasn't quite sure how that opportunity might come about. So as soon as Jeanette said that, I was like, yeah, if I can make it work and there's enough weddings, then I'll do it. So I think the first year I did 6 months here and 6 months in the UK, because I still had work in the UK. And then gradually that's become shorter and shorter. So last year we went back regularly, and then we did do some work there, but they were for much smaller amounts of time.
So when did you
Sorry, go on, Russ.
from the UK to here?
Say again, mate?
When did you move full time from the UK to here?
I think it was the beginning of 2013.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Beginning of I think the Cahal's wedding was in May of 2012, and I think the first weddings I did for Jeanette were like November, December of that year. And then having done them, she started to get me quite a bit of work. So I just took the risk of just coming out here and setting a business up and seeing if I could make it work. And it, just went from there.
And certainly from the get-go, it was 100% you were just doing weddings. Is that correct?
Yeah, beginning just doing weddings, yeah. So that was and also it was really busy at the beginning, and plus I was still building skill set, trying to build a reputation for myself. And I mean, we were lucky because we didn't just get weddings in Thailand, we did get quite a few in Greece and continued to do so in the UK, Hong Kong, Singapore, Bali. So we started to get all this international exposure, and that helped us to build quite an interesting portfolio from being based here. Yeah.
So there's 2 things in that. One is, I mean, obviously, for those on the podcast, we'll get into how your business has perhaps morphed and changed a wee bit, particularly in the recent times. We'll get to that. But you're referencing a lot about we have work here and we have work there, which obviously then feds into your other half. So at what point?
What?
What?
You're not a single hunky man that we can all go and grab hold of.
So thanks for joining the podcast. Tune in next week. So at what point did the most important part of your life, Bob, obviously, for those on the podcast, so at what point did Sam come along?
So quite funny actually. So I'd only been here I'd come out here and done a few weddings, right? And a friend of mine who's a yoga instructor and was kind of living in London, but he had having quite a relaxed life, so just doing private tuition and stuff like that. So I said to him, "Oh, why don't you come out and stay in Phuket, because I'm going to be living out there, and just come out for a few months. So I've got a 2-bedroom apartment." And so this guy came out, spent a few months out here, and we went to this party in Central Festival, some grand opening, one of these awful grand opening things. Yeah.
What was it? For what though?
I think that table check or something. There's something, that outdoor thing.
Tablespoon. No, was it tablespoon?
Tablespoon.
Was tablespoon? Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
So
circle
there, and then-
where McDonald's and stuff is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we were standing there, and Pete Atkinson, who I think you both know, it's Darren's husband, do you know? Yeah. Pete Atkinson came up to us and said, tapped me on the shoulder and said, excuse me, my friend's over there. I looked around, there's all these Thai girls in the corner. Want to know if you two are gay or single.
And you said, yes, we're gay.
Yeah, I said, sorry, yeah, we're gay. No. So I said, no. And I said, no, we're not actually. And so anyway, I got chatting to him after he'd come up with this bizarre introduction. And he then invited me. He said, oh, do you want to come out for lunch with me and a friend of mine who's Stam, who is my fiancé at the moment. Hopefully still will be after we've been locked in for a couple of months.
Massive test.
Yeah, huge test. He took us out and said, oh, look, she's quite into photography. I think you guys will get on really well. She's friends with Darren. And so he kind of was setting us up on a date, but it was done in a nice, relaxed way where he came as well. He said, let's just the three of us go out for lunch. And I had some kind of thing in my head that, there's too much cultural difference between Thai and because I was new here, right? So there's too much cultural difference between Thai and Western. So I think I'm probably not really looking for a Thai girlfriend or whatever. And this was my attitude before this lunch. And I think Stam's always said to me the only reason she was even a little bit interested in me is because I seemed so disinterested in her at this original lunch, because I still had this internal resistance, like, no, I don't want to have a Thai girlfriend. I think it's too different. All of this crazy stuff in my head. And so that kind of paved the way for I contacted her about a week later, and she said basically, not because she thought I was good looking, but just the fact that I seemed disinterested made her a little bit more intrigued. It wasn't any kind of clever strategy. It was just lucky.
Treat them mean, mate. Treat them mean. Keep them keen. But you're a good-looking lad, though, as well. To be fair, I mean, out of the three of us,
Thanks,
you're
mate.
probably up there. I think. I mean,
You're
two of us will be all right.
in the top three, definitely. So
I still, which probably you guys do, still feel quite young in Phuket because it's a bit of a retirement stronghold. So
yeah,
it's great. I still feel I can get away with wearing t-shirts like this.
yeah. So obviously that was love blossoming from the get-go, but I'm assuming that Stam wasn't, because you two work obviously hand in glove, as it were. So, but was Stam that interested in photography? How did all that come about?
I think the opportunity, I think she was interested in it, but she could probably answer better herself, but hopefully this is right. But so I think from what she's told me and what I understand, yes, she was interested in it. It was quite difficult for us as a couple for her to come in essentially with no experience, because there was a period of time where I had to be kind of running the business while she learned from me. And that's the dynamics of that for a couple are not very nice, and they're not very equal, right? Because essentially you end up telling your other half what to do when you're at work, which is horrible. But she was A, very patient with that, and B, very talented with the photography. So, once she built up...
Is she listening?
I don't know if she's listening. No, she's in the other room, so she's not normally interested in what...
You're being very, very nice.
So, I was actually pretty impressed as well that she wanted that. She wanted the opportunity to be her own woman, right? Earn her own money and be successful in her own right. So that's part of her drive to get good, was that she didn't just want to be the assistant of some Farang photographer. She was like, if she was going to do it, she wanted to get to the same level as me and run the business with me, which I personally find that really attractive. Yeah. That she wanted to do that, and she's done that. Like, she's we never changed the name of the business because it just already had my name on it, which is, again, like, to her credit, she doesn't have any ego about that, so she just happily got on with it. But in terms of our exposure, the kind of awards we've won, the photos that appear in print and on blogs, 50% of that work has been hers. So there's still an assumption, I think, A, because she's a woman, and B, because she's Thai, that she must be in some way my assistant. And it still does happen when we're kind of working, but our clients always know that's not the case because they've researched our work. They always meet us before we do any of these weddings with them. And so they do understand that. But something I've learned, that there is a kind of attitude that the man in these kind of businesses, and it's not just with having a Thai partner. I know people in Canada, Canadian couples that do it, they're very successful. There's the same thing where there's some kind of attitude that it must be the guy that's the main photographer, and the girl is just there to make up the numbers. I don't know why it's like that, but there's some kind of inbuilt, with a lot of people, some kind of inbuilt presumption that that's how it must be. So she's always had to battle that.
Surely.
Say again?
You could probably apply that across any industry, to be fair.
So I
assumption that, the man must be the doctor, so she must be the nurse, or whatever it is.
Yeah, so those gender stereotypes are quite strong.
Sorry?
Say again?
Prostitution.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying,
Yes.
You can't put that in every industry, because in prostitution you'd probably say that the woman's the boss. But then again, I guess they've got a pimp, haven't they? And then that's Snoop Dogg. So I've argued my own rubbish. Carry on.
But anyway, I would say you took a bit of a gamble, because I'm guessing from pretty early doors, when you've got to know each other, and obviously, yes, I'm Liam, I'm a photographer, and she's obviously shown some interest in wanting to follow that particular path. So from early on, you've jumped on that road together. And that's a gamble in two ways. One, you've already mentioned, because you're putting your young relationship really to the test from the get-go, in that dynamic of you're now working with me. And secondly, what if her work is shit? What if she's not a very good photographer? Right? So now, as it happens, obviously, I think know that she's fucking brilliant, but but it's at that early stage, it's a bit of a gamble.
Yeah, I think I was willing to take that gamble because I was already getting work in multiple countries, and for us to be able to really be together, especially in those first few years, because I was only in Thailand half the time in the first few years. Then she really needed to be on board with being involved in the business, and so that she could then travel with me and do this and build this business and work in this business with me. So in hindsight as well, I think it was something I hadn't thought about, but it sounds glamorous going, we've got 2 months in Greece now, then we're in Italy for a month, then we're doing a wedding in Miami, and it's amazing stuff. But if you were doing that completely alone, looking back on it, it would have been quite lonely, actually, the experience of it. Because we were literally living out of a suitcase for the whole summer. For the first 4 years we were together, 2 months in the Greek islands and a month in London and then a month in Italy working. So I'm really happy it worked out, because I just think the motivation to do it, even though from the outside it looks really glamorous, would have started to be quite challenging, not having anyone to kind of do it with, to share the experience with.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you... I'm just looking at the time, and I'm guessing I haven't got my clock up me, but I'm sure Russell has. What are you doing now? Because obviously your business, I know that your business has evolved into different things, and you've had to evolve, as we all have, with various different things. So what has been your evolution for the last couple of years into your business? Because obviously wedding photography has changed. There's more wedding photographers. Same as DJs. There was a load of DJs came. I changed what I do. So how did yours evolve?
Yes, I think there was the skill set. It's good. It's a good skill set being a wedding photographer, because to do it well, you do need to be good at quite a lot of different types of photography in one day. And so that did open up, especially living in Phuket with a lot of luxury hotels and brands that need good visuals. It did open up some possibilities obvious opportunities to speak to people that may need good photography. That's how it started anyway, on the island. So originally started doing some work for Catch Beach Club, or for Twin Palms and Catch Beach Club, on the photography side, where we did all of their visual branding for their new website, built all of their social media content for them that they've been using for the last 18 months or so. And whilst I was doing that, I was looking into ways to market our photography business, apart from just through Google search and blogging. And I realized that there was a very big opportunity to use strategic advertising on Facebook. So not social media management, but paid advertising through Facebook and Instagram, and building sales funnels that could actually capture business for our photography. So I spent pretty much 2 years taking a step back, or 1.5 years, stepping back from the photography. I let Stan pretty much run the whole wedding business. I just did the only thing I did for 1.5 years was go to the wedding and take photos, and Stan did everything else. All of the editing, backing up, speaking to the clients. She just managed that. And I totally immersed myself in learning how to build profitable sales funnels, like digital marketing sales funnels for our business. And it tied in with doing this photography work with the Twin Palms, which started off at Catch Beach Club. And they weren't really doing any digital marketing or paid advertising through those channels. So we've completely changed the focus of our business, really. So we do still do destination weddings, but we have a creative agency that we've set up. We're currently in the process of launching the website. Too much rush at the moment because of the coronavirus, but we're working on it as we're all indoors for a couple of months. Yeah, and what we realised is we'd started speaking to hotels, one hotel being the Four Seasons in Bora Bora. We did a corporate job there for BMW a few years ago. We did some lifestyle content when we were there, and then I tried to sell it to the sales director at Four Seasons after we'd left. And he bought it from us, but it was, the conversation was such that I realised that whilst he was willing to buy it, to get some kind of repeat business or retainer from him, it was seen as too much of a luxury cost to buy this nice photography with not really any understanding of how to use it in a way that was going to help the business drive sales. So as the business evolved and I'd been doing this work for Twin Palms, I'd also been running strategies for our photography business that were generating really good return on investment through Facebook and Instagram. I asked Twin Palms, would they like to try some of these strategies for the hotel, or similar strategies for the hotel that I developed, using the creative content that we created for Catch, and we could do the same for the hotel. So short cinematic videos and really high-end lifestyle content that we could use together with our advertising strategies. And yeah, to be fair to them, they're quite a progressive business, so they were happy to explore it with smallish budget to see if you could actually generate bookings from these kind of strategies. And I think the first 3 months we were there, yeah, we significantly built their email list up and generated like a 70-30 return on investment. So they were making 70%, from 30% invested from my cost, the photography costs and the advertising costs. They were making about 70% back, which is really good. It's actually higher than their most hotels' normal split between marketing and sales, which is normally around 60-40, something like that. So so the trial went very well. So we ended up doing 2 years of strategic advertising for them, running all different types of strategies to different groups of people around the world to convert viewers of their website and their content into actual booked guests. It happened quite fast, and it was good to be working with a small and dynamic hotel that was willing to try something new. And the results were really good, actually. So that's our main focus now, is there's lots of digital marketing agencies out there, and there's lots of good photographers out there, but we feel like we're sitting at a nice intersection where we have very high quality content, which we know which is really important for the luxury end of the hotel market or hospitality market or restaurant market, and anything in that high end space. They need the quality content, but it's difficult to justify investing in just the content if you don't know how to monetize it with some kind of strategy afterwards. So that's where we've kind of set up this agency to sit between digital marketing agencies and photography agencies, and trying to like blend both so that there's a return on and a strategy in place for all the beautiful stuff that we create for them.
And also, if you're working,
I think it's sorry, Russ.
No, Russ. Do it the other way. You end up with, you've got on one hand you've got the content creator, the other hand you've got the strategy company, and if things aren't working, they're just going to blame each other. Oh, it didn't work because the content was shit. It didn't work because their strategy was shit. Whereas you're uniquely positioned in the middle. You're providing everything. So if it doesn't work, it's on you.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
Yeah,
I think
I
think it's a fabulous idea. I think it's something I've been working in the digital marketing game for a little while, and I think putting the two with your quality of photography and your creative skills and talents of you and Stan, putting that together with the knowledge of digital marketing, it makes pure sense to me. I'm sure that you guys will be very, very, once this craziness is over, I'm sure you'll be very, very, very successful.
What craziness? Sorry, did I miss something?
Me growing a beard is the craziness.
We're all growing beards at the moment by the looks of it.
Liam looks much more sexy than we do.
This curfew they've introduced, I was like, oh, I'm always in bed at 10 and at 4. So it's very different. I'm so boring because I don't go out partying. I'm like, this is just normal life. I can still walk the dogs. I still, I don't go out and socialise anyway. So I do sometimes, but not that often. So it doesn't seem that different to how I normally live my day.
Yeah.
Liam, how do people, if people want to get hold of you, how would they, what's the process of them wanting to tap you up and to find out more about you guys and what you do?
Yeah, so I think at the moment, the best thing to do is just to email me our new website, and I don't know if you have show notes or anything like that below the podcast, but I'll give it to you. I don't know how people find it. How do they find the podcast?
It's everywhere. It's global, baby.
Liam, no, you're not meant to say that. You meant to say, as a regular listener, you can download the podcast from Apple, from Spotify, from Castbox, from any of the podcast providers, Liam, because it's everywhere. You've obviously done your research, yeah?
Let's do a second take on this. As a regular listener to this fantastic podcast, you can download it on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Hey, well done, mate. That's the sound bite. We'll take that bit. So, we'll put your description, in our descriptions, we'll put your email link for people to get a hold of you for sure. Defo, no problem at all.
Yeah, and I'll give you, our new website is like a couple of weeks away. I'll give it to you. You can put it in the show notes if you like, so people can have a look at what we've been doing on that commercial photography and digital marketing journey we've been on.
Cool. All right, mate. Well, look, before we wrap it up, a couple of key questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
A couple of things that are on your bucket list.
It's a good question.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you. It's only taken us an hour to get there. Have a think.
We'll just talk amongst ourselves. Hi, Russ. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you? It's been ages.
Yeah, we're interviewing Liam today. Liam Collard from Collard Studios. He's got a great bucket list. He's going to tell us about it now.
Yeah. So one thing I'd really like to do, and I've got as close as investigating and got some contacts in Nepal, there's quite a few ethnic Tibetan settlements up in the mountains in the Himalayas that you need to trek to. And you can go and do homestays with them. And I want to go there at some point soon and spend 1 or 2 weeks there so that I can photograph just the way of life, because they're still living in quite an authentic way. And it's yeah, the more and more of them are getting like integrated into Nepalese culture, or in China, and the main bit of Tibet into Chinese culture. So a lot of these old traditions and way of life are sort of being lost a little bit. So just going there and learning a bit about it and being in such a spectacular setting, that's the top thing. I've done a mini version of that in Thailand where I went to stay with a very remote hill tribe with Stam for a few days, and it was the most rewarding thing I've ever done, I think, with my just as a trip and with the camera. They were amazing people, and this is just taking that next level where similar thing. They're also going to be hill tribes, but you're in the middle of the Himalayas with these incredible backdrops. So that's my number one thing to be trying to do.
That would be amazing. I might come and join you for that.
You're very welcome. You carry my kit for me.
I won't come and join you both for that, to be fair. Although I like the you can come to my house, Liam, for a couple of weeks and shoot around here if you want. I'm still kind of back in the old school of living my life like a Tibetan hill tribe person. I didn't know how to say that. I didn't know where that was going. He's gone. Liam's run away.
Just a little short on the mountains, that's all.
Little short on the mountains. I put some of those ring things in my neck. Was those are people you went to see, the ones with the neck rings?
No, it's actually the Karen hill tribe, which is a different one, not the long neck ones.
Who's Karen?
Yeah, it's one of the hill tribes. Yeah, it's called the Karen hill tribe.
Is she a friend of Stam's? Is she single? This Karen? Is she available or?
So I'll send you a photo of a few of the village elders.
Yeah. So other than
Russell, what was the last question?
Other than a bit of trekking, anything else on the list?
Yeah, again, it's a photography thing, but just trying to. I'm doing two projects with the photography. One that's been going on for a few years called just People of Thailand. So I'm trying to photograph portraits and environmental portraits of different parts of Thai society. So we've done like this hill tribe in 2015, and like we went and did in Phang Nga Bay, a Muslim fishing community. We did 6 or 7 trips up there over the course of a couple of years and photographed the village elders and the community life there and stuff. So actually exhibiting that work at a gallery, I'd like to do it in London and in Thailand. It looks more exotic doing it in London because it's something very far away. I always think it'd be quite interesting to showcase here as well when it's finished. So having an actual exhibition like that of some of my work is like right at the top of something that I want to do.
And I would suggest that to do that, you need a good, nice, open, well-lit, covered exhibition space to do that sort of thing, wouldn't you? Like a nice, just for example, I would say like a nice big open, I'm looking say 30 meter by 20 meter room, nice high pitched roof. I could possibly help you out with that space.
You could. For sure. And the other one is a similar thing, but it's like a fine art black and white photography that I'm developing, which is a different subject, but mostly has people in that have a bit more of an emotional feeling to them. Getting that exhibited and actually starting to sell some of those fine art prints as artwork for people's houses is a bucket list thing. I know it sounds like work, but it's that part of photography is more like the stuff I love to shoot. So trying to get it out there a bit more for people to enjoy is something I'm kind of keen to work on.
Cool.
Amazing. Liam, thank you very much. It's been really interesting. I mean, we've known each other for what? Oh, blimey. Almost 10 years ago.
I remember the wedding. Jay, do you remember which wedding you met Liam at?
No, when he mentions it's that one in Camelot where we used to go to, that band, whatever it's called. I do remember being in there and seeing this very handsome man, and I was thinking, I hope he's single, and he wasn't, which was a shame, because I would have tapped him right up. I think I was married at the time then, or was probably with someone at the time. No, I think so. So, yeah, it's been a long time, and obviously I think we only really see each other with Liam so much was really at the weddings. But at that time, in all fairness, it was almost every weekend, because when that time where you did start working for Jeanette, I mean, that was bonkers wedding times. We were working every single weekend, sometimes Fridays, Saturdays as well. It was craziness.
Yeah. No, it was a golden period, which was lucky for me. I think everyone needs a bit of luck when they set up a business. And whilst I was getting to the standard, or Stamina were getting to the standard that we're at now, we were lucky that there was a surplus of work. So we were able to charge, we were able to make a good living whilst we were still essentially learning the trade. Whereas now we've got a lot of international exposure and won loads of awards for our work. It's actually a lot harder to get the business now because it's there's a lot of extremely good photographers, and there's a lot of people willing to do it pretty much for nothing, just to do a wedding in Thailand. It's hard to compete with people offering to do it for nothing.
Yeah.
So the industry's struggling a bit. I'm kind of grateful though, because the commercial stuff and the creative agency we set up, I think, is a step up in terms of what we're offering. So maybe it's you need to be nudged in the direction, don't you? And the business slowing down has presented this new opportunity. So.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. And look, you're a lovely man. You're a smart guy. Both you and Stam, I love you to death. And I think you have to evolve. The business has to evolve. You can't. I mean, I went through a phase where I just was not changing what I was doing, and I was living the life of just doing the same old thing. And I was expecting to get better and better. But you've got to try. You've got to try to do different things. You've got to take yourself outside the box and evolve. You've got to reinvent yourself. And I think that's what we've all. This screen here I'm looking at are three people that are probably reinventing themselves from where we were 10 years ago. And I think you have to keep doing that. You have to keep moving forward. Otherwise, you just become a sad old individual with no life. And I'm there.
I think you get. I think that's really, really true for me. It's just a realization that the wedding stuff, it went well for a while, and maybe I had a false sense of security that setting up a business was easy because I came into it at a good time. And then when things started slowing down, I was like, oh, actually, I need to know a hell of a lot more about not just being a good photographer. I need to know how to market myself better. I need to have a lot more skills to get our business out there. How could we cross-sell our business into other areas? And yeah, that journey's taken me to a point now where I'm like, oh, actually, I'm not really just a photographer. I'm just more like an entrepreneur that's living in Phuket and has used the original skill set to offer services in a slightly different area. And maybe in a few years that won't be so relevant. So there'll be another recreation that I'll need to do. And yeah, being flexible enough with that, I think, is the only way to be able to have a long-lasting career on an island like this, unless you work for a big company. There's always going to be things you have to do to recreate where the work's coming from.
Absolutely. We're going to have to call it because otherwise it's going to get too long. Liam, thank you very much. You have been a superstar. Really interesting. Thank you for your time. We're going to hang up, but can you stay online? Because I need to take a screenshot picture.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
thanks,
Russell.
guys.
Hello.
He's gone.
He's fucked off. We can slag him off now.
Didn't like him. Didn't like that one. I thought it was the worst podcast we've ever done.
Like
I hate Liam.
That was like
I hate him. Look, do you know why I hate him? I remember when I first met him all those years ago, I thought, damn, he's handsome. And then Stam turned up, and I thought, oh, she's a hot chick. I wonder if she's... And then all of a sudden, you find out that those two are together, and Stam is beautiful. And you just think, damn, he's handsome, he's gorgeous, he's got a beautiful girlfriend, he's a photographer, he's doing... Everything's going great.
What's to like?
Nothing. Nothing. Hate him. And now I realise... Now I hate him even more, because he's off doing these great shots of Tibetan hill tribes and people with long necks or whatever. I don't know what he was... he's an arsehole. I
like the idea of going to Nepal. I think that'd be great fun.
Got no interest in going anywhere near Nepal. But no, he's amazing. I do like Liam. He's turned his life around. He was a party hard. He was a trader. He was a London boy. You know what I mean? I totally see where he's coming from. I've got mates that are still doing that now, and I totally get that life. And to see what he does now, and to see he has got some amazing. I mean, his photography skills are brilliant. And I'm going to big him up because I've watched him work at weddings. Because as a DJ, you get a lot of time to watch. I've seen you work, and I can pretty much do your script in out. Get paid $1 million baht for just saying, yeah, well done. Make a joke about upgrade your Facebook account now to married or whatever your joke is that you do every time. Have you changed that joke yet? You haven't changed it, have you?
I've changed a couple of things recently. And actually, the funny thing was, it's probably, how long is, towards the end of Jeanette's time with LEP, And a couple of times she said, "Oh, we should probably change it up a bit," because when she was showing videos to clients, it was all obviously the same stuff. I said, "Yeah, that's fair enough." So I rewrote a couple of things, but I was getting to the point. We'd gone through you've got a wedding like at Coral Seekers Day. I was doing weddings every fucking day during the summer, during our sort of peak season. It was nuts. So, but we were way out of that sort of cycle. I was only doing like the ad hocs now and again. So, and I don't like being there with a bit of paper reading off what I'm saying. I want to know it. So to do new material, you need that consistency, which I just didn't have at the time. And then obviously Jeanette left LEP and the wedding business nosedived anyway. And now I just can't be bothered.
No. He's a good guy, Liam and Stan. Go and tap him up. We'll put the description in the... I don't know why I'm pointing down because this is an audio podcast, isn't it? We'll put the description in the link below, but definitely go and use them. Don't call me a wanker. That's out of order, isn't it? My mum listens to... Actually, my mum no longer listens to us because of the swearing on this podcast, which is brilliant.
My fucking fault.
No, and it's your fault. But no, they're good guys, and if you do want some photography, and I'm pleased that he's getting into the whole marketing side of things and doing the digital marketing because it's good for him and it's great. I love them to death. How are you, Russell? Everything all right in your dog academy, k9pointacademy.com?
Good, mate. I'm here in the office with all this downtime. I actually, at the turn of the year, I signed up for 3 courses. I was like, this year I'm going to be meaning to do these. I'm going to get them done. So I'm using this downtime to power on with those, to be fair.
Cool, man. I'm using this downtime to homeschool and try to work and earn a living.
Which is always good. How are the kids?
Yeah, they're good, man. I mean, look, it is what it is. I get frustrated with school. Huh?
How are they finding and dealing with this whole new dynamic? Are they just running with it, or?
Well, it'd be interesting. Let's see what happens in 5-10 years' time, because this will be normal. This is changing society. Society will never be the same again. Will never be the same again. This is, we all talk about how lifestyle coaches tell you that it takes 2 weeks for something to become a, what's the word? If you want to learn something new, you want to do working out for 2 weeks, then all of a sudden it becomes, habit. I can't think of the right word. Habit, that's it. So this whole social distancing, this whole wearing masks, gloves, not touching anybody, temperature checks as you go into 7-Eleven, blisters on your hand from being at home for so long. This is going to be normal for them. Homeschooling will possibly become a normality in some areas of life. It's going to be really interesting, and I think the effects of this will go on for a long time. Listen, I hope it gets over. I'm not doom and gloom in any way, shape or form. I think social distancing is a great thing. If I can stay away from me, I hate a lot of people. But I think for those, I do see the issue with social interaction of how kids are now going to be. I mean, it's bonkers and it's crazy, but it is what it is. And look, we're trying to stay normal. We're trying new things here at home. We're doing, like I said, we're still, we're growing stuff. We're doing planting. We're doing lots of Play-Doh. So, we're doing the stop motion animation. I'm doing stuff with the kids. So they're fine. They get a bit bored at home, but, I've still got to work and they've still got to just get bored, I guess.
Fair enough. But it'd be interesting. I get your point about how society is going to change on the back end of this. And in particular, for people that are now having to work from home because they have to work from home. And like up until this point, there's been people who've been crying out, "Oh, can I just work from home Thursday afternoon because my kid's sick?" Or can I just work from home because their job it's here, it's on the computer, they can work from anywhere. Oh, no, you've got to be in the office to build it, the business will fail. Now, everyone's at fucking home working from home and everything's fine to some degree within the business. So it'll be interesting on the bounce back when all of a sudden we're allowed to integrate, we're allowed to be close together, we're allowed to run offices fully. Do we actually need to do that?
Well, I think we do, yeah. You have to have some sort of social interaction with other people. I'm saying I hate it. I think from a work environment, now look, I've worked from home for a long time, for the last probably 2 years, going to different people's offices, and I've always felt a little bit not part of something. You don't feel part, and that's where the issue is. But I think with, in all fairness though, doing this podcast, I am creating my own work environment, I guess. So anyway, look, we can't drag on too long. we can have a cough. Uh-oh.
Hello.
I'm getting... Hello, let me just hang that one up. Right, on that note, Russell, go and check Russell out, k9pointacademy.com. Check me out on, or like us on Jayleshark and Friends. Apart from that, if you want to be on the podcast, email us, jayleshark@gmail.com.
We took a picture. I'll send you the picture.
And the recording.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's going to be a big recording to send. Bye, darling.
Love
you. Thanks, Russ.
Bye.
See you, bye.